What's up, FlowChat Connector? Sean here, back at you with another FlowChat sales training tip. And I'm curious if you've ever been in that space where you're taking a sales conversation or a sales call and you know that you need to exhibit your expertise, but you don't want to come over the top and seem arrogant or try to push somebody into buying something from you. Well, in this video, I'm going to break down what we call the buyer's formula, why it works, how it works, and all the psychology behind it. And then I'm going to give you a 5-step formula that you can walk away with today, use in your business to close more high ticket deals. Stay tuned. Kapow! What's happening in the FlowChat Connector? Sean back at you with another high ticket tune up. Make sure and smash that subscribe button, like this video, share it out to those other people. We need to feed the algorithm gods and get more people better at sales, right? So here we go. Had an awesome question that came in today from Hugh. Hugh asked this. He said, Sean, do you have any ideas or formulas I could use during a sales call that will make me appear as a true expert, but not seem pushy during the sales call? Well, yes, I do. And we're going to cover that today. And so if you're out there and you're feeling this one right now, drop a comment below. Let me know if you've ever been in a sales call and you feel way too pushy and you know you feel pushy. Like when you're aware about that, like this is the time where this formula is truly going to impact and give you the advantage to move forward and do things a little bit differently so you can actually win. So as we always do, let's dive into some slides. Now this one, Hugh is a pretty high on the disc profile. He's a high C. So he needs data, details, lists. So in this particular training, I'm focused on those people that might need a little bit of more structure. So if you're the free flowing one, maybe this isn't the best video for you, but if you need a little bit of structure or you want a formula, stay tuned because this is really valuable. So first and foremost, what is the buyer's formula? How does it work? What does it look like? Let's get into it. Well, there's the old way and then there's the new way, right? So the old way is on the left-hand side, which is what says traditional salespeople. Now, traditional salespeople typically will follow this pattern when they start a sales conversation. Now, I've seen this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Like this is the one thing that like I throw up when I talk to traditional salespeople because they just don't know what they don't know. It's not your fault if you're in that space. I hope you're not in that space, but this is what the old traditional salespeople are doing, and they still do. It's rampant. They're doing it everywhere still. So first they'll come in and they'll pretend, they'll take on this archetype or this persona of the nice guy. And the nice guy just is very simply like, hey, how's it going today? Where do you live? What part of the city are you in? Oh, I've been there. My uncle or aunt lives there, right? I'm just a nice guy. I'm trying to build rapport. That's what most traditional salespeople do when they first start. And then before you even get into any conversation or anything else like that, the conversation moves from the nice guy into the sham wow guy. Now, the sham wow guy is the guy that says, here's all these features. Check out my product. Dancing, singing around, doing my stuff, and showing you everything that there is, every feature and benefit, never letting you talk, just dumping it all on you, right? Where you have verbal diarrhea if you're the traditional salesperson saying these things and just throwing up all over your face, like with facts that you don't even need to know, right? This is what we call techno babble. At least Russell calls it techno babble. And then you have, so now you've done two personas. The buyer watching you as a sales professional going through this whole journey is like, whoa, well, first he was really nice. Now he's like throwing all these facts at me. This is kind of weird. I'm not really into it. And then they turn into the sorcerer. So now they've gone into this third archetype, right? And this third archetype is the sorcerer, where they're saying, when you do this, this is what's magically going to happen to you in your life, and here's what you're going to achieve. And they're trying to do a little bit of future pacing, but they don't have any verifiable facts or figures or data or anything that we can look at to validate what they're saying is going to happen to us. Okay, so very important to remember that, because like the sorcerer is that guy's gonna be like waving the wand and saying, "Pada!" Like this is what's gonna happen to your life, and you're like, well, that seems really fishy. I don't understand as the buyer, right? And so then once they've gotten through the sorcerer and they've shared all these little secret things about what your life's going to look like and painting this picture that's probably not even your picture as the buyer, they move into the angel. And the angel is that next archetype where it's like, okay, so now that I've shared all my magic juice with you and you know exactly what's going to happen in your life, it's going to be perfect. Like this sounds great, doesn't it? Yeah. And then they sit there and they're trying to be nice and friendly and trying to get you to agree with them, even though you haven't even had a conversation with them yet. You haven't explained whether or not you even have a problem or anything like that. And they just want agreement, right? And then sometimes most people are polite and they'll agree. And then this buyer or this traditional salesperson transforms into what we call the wolf. The wolf archetype is the type that says to them, all right, well, like, let's get started today. What are your objections, right? And they go after you at the throat, the jugular, trying to get you to agree to go down this path of, hey, like, buy my stuff, right? And as the buyer, you're thinking there like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy's got 5 different personalities from Sunday. He was first nice to me. Then he showered all this stuff I didn't need to know. Then he was telling me how my life was going to transform. And then he was like, don't you agree? And then he's like, let me handle your questions and get started. Like, that process doesn't work, right? Now it'll work very, very small percentage of time. And unfortunately, there's way too many people that still follow this pattern simply because they don't know what they don't know. When we switch to the new age sales pros, the people that have been a little bit more enlightened, that have actually started to close a bunch of deals, this is more of the flow. Now, most people freak out when they see what this looks like, but calm confidence, right? You need to walk. If you have the most confidence in the room, you will attract or demand attention, right? You'll be that attractive character in the room. And it's, and it can be typically, 55% of sales conversations are body language. So if you're going into a face-to-face appointment, what I used to do when I walked through a door is every time I touched a door handle was a trigger for me to stand up straight, put my shoulders back and put my head up and look straight along at the horizon. This gave me the appearance of super confidence, even if I was nervous as hell, right? And so that's what I did there. And then on the other side of it, if you're on Zoom meetings, then just sit up a little bit straighter and be happy, smile, like that calm confidence, like, hey, I'm actually really grateful to speak with you, instead of trying to muffle around and do your stuff, right? So coming into the call with calm confidence is true. Secondly, during the sales conversation. So now after we've set the agenda for the call, we're getting into our conversation piece, pessimism, right? Because every single buyer that goes through a process to make a decision to buy something has those negative thoughts. Don't ignore them. Don't avoid them. Address them as the sales professional, because when you do this, they're going to be like, whoa, this guy's walking in my shoes. Like, he's actually, as if he's making this decision kind of with me. And it instantly creates this rapport level that's insane, right? And then you have to trickle in a little bit of expertise. And once you've done that, we pull back as the new age sales pro, and we push the autonomy back to the client. Why do we do this? There's 2 reasons. Because if you're a traditional sales pro following those 5 archetypes, like most traditional salespeople, you're trying to sell other people and the buyer feels like they're being sold. If you're the new age sales pro and you're following this other formula that I'm about to share with you, this 5-step formula that will absolutely explode your business, this is more of when the buyer is going through the process, they feel like, oh, this person's guiding me to buy something, which I like. And they build that rapport and that confidence with you. Okay, so this is the old way versus the new way. I just want to explain that so we have some like context now when we get into the formula. Here is the magic formula. I remember this little acronym, I moi. It's like you're kissing them like the priest would kiss you on the forehead and wish you good luck and move forward, like after he's blessed you and done all this other stuff. So it's like moi, kiss, like on the forehead. So I kiss you like that. So that's how I remember this buyer's formula. It's very easy. First one is we introduce the formula, right? Then we talk about the major ways that most buyers fail when they're investing in a product or service like we have to offer. Then we share some unseen ways that most people don't think about when they're going through the buying process and making a decision to buy this. This automatically gives you the expertise and the credibility so that you can move to the next level. Then we give them some very easy actions to take. And lastly, the autonomy piece of this, which is the most important, is after you've shared all this stuff, we simply hand the power back to the prospect to say, look, at least that's what I'd do if I was in your shoes, right? And so here is how I'm going to break this down so it's very simple for you. So again, here's the formula. There it is. So introduce the major ways to fail, the unseen ways to fail, actions to take, hand back power. So when you're introducing the formula, right, this line doesn't start the sales conversation. This is after we've gotten on the call, we've exuded our calm confidence, we've did a little bonding and rapport in the beginning of the conversation using DISC personality profiles, modality, whatever you do. We set the agenda for the call, and then we start asking some questions. And before we get into introducing the buyer's formula, we have to understand our prospects' world, where they're in, what they're struggling with, the pain. Do they have the problem that we solve? Always get that first before you dive into this. But once you have that, you can say very confidently, like, I deal with that exact problem all the time. And so now I've started my kissing them on the forehead. I've just very simply said, look, I deal with this I can figure this out. I've sourced it out for hundreds of coaches. I've coached thousands of coaches on this, or whatever you say, all the time. So like I do this a lot, right? So now I've just introduced the formula. I've already positioned myself as a higher status because I've helped the people that I'm talking to. Next, we go into the major ways to fail. So the major ways to fail are very simple, depending on what you're selling, right? So in our case, let's talk about software because we sell software, some very breakthrough disruptive tech, right? And so most people, when they look at, blank, which would be your product or service, most people, when they look at our software, they kind of assume, oh my God, it's so simple, like anybody can do this. And yes, that's true. But the most of people, they fall down or they stumble because they don't realize that it does take work, because the system works. It's been proven over thousands of times, but we don't know if you work. Like, we don't know if you, as the person getting involved with the software product, are actually going to put the time and energy in place, whether it's you or the team or whoever in the system, to make it work, right? Most people underestimate the amount of time that it actually takes. So one of the things we always do in the beginning is we talk about who is going to be doing the work, and we establish that during our call, because otherwise people will typically fail, right? And at that stage, I would stop and then I would ask them about who would be doing the work in their world, and I make it more interactive until I go on, right? So again, introducing major ways that somebody can fail with your product or service is awesome. It will work every single time. Get into a dialogue or discussion about it, and then move on to the next one. The next one is where you can start to really shine with expertise. So we've given them some major ways to fail, maybe 1, 2, or 3 major ways that most people fail when they get into the coaching world, and then the unseen ways to fail, right? And so what many people don't consider is all the support that we actually provide. And the reason that we provide that support is simply because there are these little potholes that you can fall into that are kind of unseen. And what most people don't consider is the fact that, like, the platforms that we play on, because we play on all the different social platforms, is there's a different dialect on Facebook than there is on Instagram, than there is on LinkedIn, than there is on Twitter, than there is on Slack, than there is on Discord, and so on and so forth. And so once you understand that flow, and this is why that's why we provide coaching at such a high level, because we've done this so many times, over hundreds of thousands of times, that we can share, like, here's the dialect, and then whatever the messaging that we're going to use to connect with your buyers, like, we need to make sure that it's written in that way. And most people don't see that, and they take something from like Facebook and they just try to replicate it over to LinkedIn as an example, and then it flops, and they're like, what the hell, it's working over here, why doesn't it work over here? Well, these are kind of the reasons why we provide that coaching, right? So what many don't consider is the fact that there's these different dialects. So now I've completely changed in the sales conversation, the buyer's thinking about what's happening, and they're saying, holy cow, like, Sean gets this at a level that most people don't. And you have to do the same for your product or service. I'm just giving you an example of ours, right? And so now we've shared the unforeseen ways to fail. This makes us a true expert in the space, and also a trusted guide, because we talked about the things that people fail on more so than features. See, I haven't even talked about features and benefits yet, period. Like, I haven't done that. And I don't do that because it doesn't work. And then lastly, or next one is, here's the actions to take, right? Well, here's what I suggest based on what you told me, right? So that's the wording that you can use. It's very simple, based on the whole sales conversation that you just had, right? You've understood they have a problem that you can solve. You've introduced like some of the major ways they can fail. You've talked about some other things that they probably didn't explore or expect that would impact or affect what they're doing. And now we say, well, if I'm in your shoes, here's what I suggest based on what you told me. Like, you've never done this direct outreach method before, and you're not ready to press the go button and go way down the path. But I do think there is some support and some coaching that is necessary in order for you to gain the foundational concept and put it into your business, so that once you understand those things, then you can start to explode. And for this reason, out of the packages that we suggest, like, we've got a kind of a basic, which is the very much do it yourself, which I don't think will be good for you, because if you don't have that true instruction, you might flop, right? And I don't feel like we're going to put the whole system in place for you, because that's not where you're at in your business. But there's this growth package, right? So we got the pro, the basic, and we got this growth package that I think is going to be the very great fit for you. And here's why. Boom. But again, if I was in your shoes, that's probably what I would do. So that would be the actions I would take. I would go in there. And again, at least that's what I do. And again, so now I kind of combine the last one, but actions to take. Here's what I would do. I would buy the growth package that comes with coaching plus the tech. And then now I hand back the power. This is the handoff, the pushback, the moi, the kiss. I've said, at least that's what I would do. Does this make sense? Is this something you think you could do? Does that seem like the right bucket for you? And then I'm quiet. And once I've done this, now the prospect can be like, this person introduced the formula. Like they're very confident. The fact that they don't know this is happening to them, of course. This person shared these major ways, the minor ways that could fail, the things I didn't know that was coming. I trust this person. This person is guiding me. They gave me a pretty solid action, which is where I thought I'd be anyways. And then they said to me, is this something that I think I can do? That buyer's journey is going to be far superior than going back to those 5 other archetypes with Mr. Nice Guy. And then we've got the sorcerer, and then the ShamWow guy, and then the other guy. And it's like if you do multiple personality selling, when you're changing personalities like that, your buyers will run away and you won't close as many deals. When you use the new formula, this formula that we just talked about, you're going to be in that space where you can use calm confidence, you can use pessimism, you can use conviction, and then you can give autonomy back to the person so that they will make a good decision. And with that said, guys, I hope this one was valuable to you. I really love this stuff. This is powerful for me. It's helped me tremendously a lot in my career, and I know that it could probably help you too. With that said, you've just been tuned up. Thank you so much. Hugh, by the way, I hope that was powerful. This was the question that Hugh asked. He said, any ideas that I could use during a sales call that will make me appear as a true expert, but not seem pushy during the sales call? That was it. If you missed this one, go back and watch it. But until we see you next time, go fight, win, go FlowChat. Let's kick some ass today. And I will look forward to seeing you next time.